Declan, is frustration the overriding emotion at full time?
Yeah, I think so. It's always difficult when you play against 11 behind the ball as deep as they was. You've got to find solutions, and last 10 minutes we probably found more than we did all game, and we was unlucky not to score. But look, we stay positive, we keep going, and we still have a great chance to top the group against Panama, so positivity all round.
Why do you think you couldn't find those solutions today when you did so well against Croatia?
Sorry, say that again?
Why do you think you couldn't find those solutions today?
You have to give credit to Ghana sometimes. 5-4-1 off the ball, very, very compact, tight spaces to play through. But of course, and on the other hand, maybe we can do a little bit more with the ball and create a bit more. But it's tough, they're good players, like we said that. It was never going to be an easy game, and now we have one more in the group to finish top, so we need to be positive.
It's the 4th tournament in a row where England have drawn their second group match. You've got to finals in 2 of those tournaments. Does that perhaps show that there's no need to panic, it's all on track?
Yeah, loads of top nations drew their first game. There's no need to be negative or downbeat. We need to stay positive, keep going, recover before the next match, and that's what we'll do.
Thanks, Zach. Well, Harry, I imagine you're left scratching your head as to how you haven't won that match.
Yeah, it was one of those games. Difficult team to break down. Obviously, I think we had loads of possession of the ball. Probably the last 15 minutes of both halves was at our best. They started to tire towards the end. We had some chances there. Obviously, I had a big chance there. We hit the bar with Nico as well. So, it could have easily been a game where we come away with a win. In the end, we didn't concede too many chances. A couple of counter-attacks in the whole game, but they got some dangerous players, and overall we controlled that pretty well. So, look, we wanted to win, but we take the point, and we're still in a great position in the group.
I was going to say, when we see Harry Kane miss a chance like that, does that really tell us that it isn't England's day?
Yeah, you go through the games like that. I was kind of just there waiting for an opportunity like that to fall my way. It was kind of a game as a striker that you're kind of just waiting for the ball to bounce, and it did. I just couldn't quite get over the ball. But yeah, I'm backing myself to score that more often than not. So it is what it is. I've been a striker long enough to know they don't always go in, so I have to accept it.
Shows you human, I guess. I think it was just 3 touches in the opposition box for you today. Did you feel like you were struggling to get in the game, or you just really well marked?
Yeah, it was kind of man marked there with Partey for a lot of the game, so kind of didn't have the space to drop deep and then arrive later in the box. But they also defended the box well. We had plenty of crosses. We had. But just couldn't quite get the first contacts. The balls through the middle were kind of tough to play because it was so compact in there. So it was a game I felt got better as we went along, and we started getting the wingers 1v1, and they was dangerous. But you go through games like that. You're playing in the World Cup, you're playing against a decent side who are compact and make it difficult, and that's what we come against today. 4
points from the opening 2 games. England still happy?
Yeah, look, we're in a great position. We play Panama next, so. I spoke before about major tournaments. You kind of chunk it up into 2 separate tournaments. First is the group stage, making sure you get through, and hopefully we can finish with a win and finish top. And then comes the second tournament, which is obviously the knockout stage. So we've almost done part 1. We recovered now as a quick turnaround, but I think we'll look forward to getting back out there in a few days.
Thanks for your time, Harry. Jordan, another point on the board for England, but what's the overriding emotion after that?
Yeah, I think we knew it was always going to be tough against Ghana, and they went into. We knew they play counter-attacking football. We kind of knew, but they probably went more 4-5-1 instead of 4-3-3, and yeah, they were really hard to break down. I think we had our chances, and we had to be wary of the counter-attack. It's football. It's always that one. When you get that first goal against them, get an early goal against them, it opens up the game a lot more. But they played a good game, and we've got to be happy. We're still top of the group and focus on Panama now, and finish strong in the group and top it.
England did have so much possession, created a few chances towards the end, but you as well had to stay switched on because we saw the threats that they posed too.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I've just mentioned there. We knew that they play counter-attacking. You've got like Semenyo, you've got some top players, some fast players, and you've got to be ready and be called upon. And that's what I felt like I did, even though not making many saves, just being in the right position at the right moment. And some of the lads is defending as well towards the end of the game. Blocks, recovery runs. It was top draw. It was hard work put in that people sometimes don't see. And we would love to win the game, but we've not lost. We know it's tournament football, group stage football, and it's in our hands to top the group.
Is it perhaps a bit of a reality check after the highs of last week?
No, I think it's you play different teams every game, and we just didn't get that goal. It's simple as that, because we limited them to so many little chances, and we played well. We kept coming, we kept going all the way at the end, and just never managed to get that goal. But that's football.
Thanks for your time.
Cheers, Kelly.
England and Ghana played to a goalless draw. Both teams now level on top of Group L with 4 points. As we welcome you back inside our studio. We haven't had too many goalless draws, so I suppose we're to expect one every now and then. Alexi Lala, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Thierry Henry, Rebecca Lowe with you. Let's show you then what happened. We have a few highlights, not tons. We got enough, Alexi, because arguably most importantly in the stands, so David Beckham.
Yeah, we worked for some highlights. There's a pensive David Beckham highlight right there, and then long distance shot here from Declan Rice. And he gets all of it, but a little too much of it over the top. And, okay, well, I think that's the end of the highlights on the field for the first half. Slim pickings, like you said, Rebecca. But, you know, right before they go into the locker rooms, a little back and forth. Carlos Queiroz, coach of Ghana, screaming and yelling, and Jude Bellingham. So, second half.
Second half, and we start with a double chance. First from Noni Madueke. I don't even know if you can call that a chance. Ball was blocked. England's going to get the ball back, and then you're going to see here Anthony Gordon trying to have a strike. He did actually, and the goalkeeper saves it. And then Rebecca was scared. 1v1 for Prince Adu, but Konsa, for me, kind of a weird way to put your body in, but he did, and then Semenyo actually blocked the ball.
Foul?
Well, he doesn't make contact with the ball, for me. But then, that's what Prince Adu was asking, and it didn't happen for them.
Then we see a good chance by England here. Good header. No, good shot.
Bukayo Saka first, yes. Yes, that's the one.
There you go. There's the header by Riley. Comes back to Kane. Should have finished better here. At least hit the target. And Rebecca was almost. She was happy, but not happy enough with the finish. Harry. Come on, Harry. Then we have a set piece here from England. Good ball. Little fumble. Comes back. Good header by Gray, but blocked by Pong. That wouldn't go in, Thierry.
No,
that was going out, yeah.
Carlos Queiroz with a really good point for Ghana. So England 0, Ghana 0, the final score. We've often seen it, Thierry, in games where a team tries to break down another for 45 minutes, maybe for 60, and then they bring substitutes on and it changes the game. That didn't happen for England in terms of making the breakthrough. Why could they still not find a way through?
It did change a bit. When Bukayo Saka came on, it did change a tiny bit more, as you saw. He came inside at one point and curved that ball at the goalkeeper. Save, but that's okay. We've seen goals, a lot of goals in this tournament. That's more of a World Cup game. You have two teams on 3 points, one wanted to win, the other one knew that if they get a point, they might go through after what's last time, 16 years, I think it is. So
yeah, to the knockout stage,
they're going to battle for that. You saw Carlos Queiroz celebrating because 4 points for them, it's outstanding, especially getting one against England. So you can understand why Ghana went that way, and it was on England to try to open them up. But that's a proper World Cup game.
Are you surprised that they didn't make the breakthrough?
I said it when I chose my group, England, Ghana, Croatia, Panama, that Ghana is going to disturb England and Croatia to take points to go through, and that's what we're seeing now. This was a real game. People might say 0-0 is not a game because so far we have been spoiled by a lot of goals. This was a real game where we see Ghana defending very well, physically very strong. England trying with the possession, missing a little bit of magic on the sides. But do not take anything away from England. They had a good performance. But a draw was a good result and for the game that we saw. So, good game.
OK. Peter said don't panic to the England fans.
Yeah, I mean, don't panic at all to you and all the England fans out there. But, you know, speaking of you in our pregame, you did a one-on-one explainer of what parking the bus is, right? And, you know, I know we throw that term around a lot. The reality is there's one thing to park the bus. It's another thing to be good at parking a bus. And this team knew exactly what they were going to do. They were drilled on it. They were connected. They were confident. and they executed ultimately in this moment. And so hats off to Carlos Queiroz. Keep in mind, came in late, but I think he recognized each game is different, but he needed to make sure that for this particular game, bend but don't break. You don't have any obligation to entertain anybody else out there, despite the fact that they didn't get the memo. This is the most entertaining, exciting World Cup ever. All right, we're going to have some duds every once in a while. But to your point, as we get further and further in the tournament, it gets more serious and more serious and more serious. This was a serious game, although it wasn't necessarily an entertaining game. And not the end of the world for either of these teams, and in particular when it comes to Ghana. Thank you very much. Put that point in your pocket.
Yeah, and Thierry, parking the bus is a valid part of the game. If you do it well.
That bus had good seats. Very good seats. Comfortable for them to defend.
It's a tour bus. Beautiful. You know, Wi-Fi and everything. It was beautiful.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, guys. Jules Breach here with Clarence Seedorf and Peter Schmeichel. It's finished a goalless draw, and when you look behind us, the Ghana team, the players, the coaching staff, they are celebrating that point, Clarence, like it is a win. Just how big is that point for them?
No, it's a very important point, of course, and I think well-deserved as well. If you look at the concentration, the organization, this team has performed over the 90 minutes in the same time, the same way. It was very good performance from Ghana. We said it, England, if they wanted to break this Ghanaian team, they had to change some stuff. It was not about changing players so much, it was really about the interpretation of the game. But Ghana can be really satisfied. I think they deserve it, this point. And England should be satisfied to the end.
A dominant England performance, 79% possession, 17 shots at goal. But how well did Ghana do to frustrate them?
Oh, they set out to do what they did today, not concede a goal, and then see if they could hit something on the break. But Jules, don't panic. Don't panic on behalf of England. Because in the last 3 tournaments, Euro 21 or 20, World Cup 22 and Euro 24, England has actually drawn 0-0 in every group and still won it. This is no disaster. I said this is half-time. This is a great result because it takes you on to Panama and they can still win the group. Now, we talked about a lot of things at half-time. The studio talked about it. We talked about what he needed to do, Thomas Tuchel, in order to change things. And it didn't happen in the second half. And I have to say, if I'm England now, I'll be a little bit worried about that the ability to change and do what needed to be done in this game didn't happen. I'll be a little bit worried, Clarence.
Yeah, I mean, at the end, as I said, the last 10 minutes, we saw what England had to do much more. Get the ball to the sides. I mean, Saka was calling for the balls all the time. Take initiative, get free kicks, get corners going. It was just a little bit too late, I believe.
Those scenes you're seeing right down there on the pitch with the England players applauding their fans, it's happening just down below us, but it has ended a goalless draw between England and Ghana here in Boston. England with a couple of late chances, but just couldn't find the back of the net. And these are the scenes in Liverpool at a watch party. Frustration for them there. They see their side miss out on a chance to book a spot in the knockout round today.
I think there's little details throughout that game which Thomas Tuchel will definitely look at with the team and try and improve on, because, as Joe said, it's not a disaster at all. We'll qualify for the next round, so it's just there's things when we get into the later stages of the groups we need to improve and make sure we're better.
You said little details, and we saw pre-match those scenes of Jed Spence being shouted at by Thomas Tuchel in training, and then we saw him trying to kind of direct him in-game today, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. I think at times there was a bit too much rotation, but then what we see in the game now is full-backs coming inside a lot. So if you look at Jed Spence here, so he plays the ball inside, and now Bellingham and Rice are in good positions. This is where you want your attacking players, in good positions to attack the back line. So Jed Spence comes into Declan Rice's position here, and now Declan Rice he sees him, so he's got a decision to make. So Declan Rice should go onto the top line and then create more space for Spence as he's got in there, but he doesn't. He comes short to get on the ball, and now you lose that attacking player in them attacking areas. So I think, and you look at Thomas Tuchel here, he's shouting at him. He wants him out wide. He doesn't want him in them positions where Declan Rice is. So now the difference here is Declan Rice is in the position.
So what you want him here?
Yes, so Declan Rice is in a good position. Jed Spence runs with energy. Now Declan Rice attacks the back line. And now all of a sudden England's in the penalty box and they get opportunities to shoot from the edge of the box. So we get a good chance, we get a shot off. So just by squeaking in them position, Jed Spence realising Declan Rice isn't there. I don't need to be in there. But if he does go in there, which can happen, Declan Rice, I think, then has to say, right, I'm going forward. Against Ghana, who was sat back, you don't need to be coming back and getting the ball off your centre-backs. You have to keep more players in the box.
The only thing I would say to that, you remember many times when we talked about Kieran Trippier playing on that left-back position, and sometimes it's not natural. Yes, the manager has said to him what he wants him to do, and he wants him to overlap, but maybe he's not as comfortable as he wants to be in terms of going down the line on his left foot. You see on the other side, everyone wants to come back and then go on their preferred foot. But in terms of his energy and what he needs to do and the position he needs to go in, I totally agree with it. It's just sometimes when you're a fullback in those positions, I know he can play left and I know he can play right, but on his left foot, it might not be as comfortable if it was on the other side.
I completely agree, but that's where Anthony Barry said at half-time, patience. That's where, if you lose patience, you end up going into other players' positions. So I think keeping that patience, that's what he means in terms of staying in your position. When the ball comes down your side, use your energy to go forward. And Thomas Tuchel recognised that. He brought O'Reilly on, a lot more balanced. Madueke went on the left, got a couple of good crosses in the box. So I think he got the balance right in that period. But I just think when you've got a full-back coming into a number 10's position and number 10 coming to get the ball off centre-backs, you lose. You've got a full-back in the attacking area and your attacking players near your own goal. So it doesn't make sense to me. I think you have to have your attacking players near the goal.
You mentioned Madueke, and let's just pick up on that because, you know, there was kind of movement with Madueke within the game, wasn't to try and get the best out of him. We saw in the first half then him just getting in on the outside was what we wanted him to do, and towards the end of the first half he did.
Yeah, no, I think you want your wide players to
Okay, can we just pause
be
it there,
effective.
though? I think it's pause it there. What you're saying there, you just want him to be in that situation there, but you want him to be more direct and go down the outside?
Yeah, well, what I was saying in the first half is about Rashford, a left footer or right footer on the right side. But look at Madueke here. Now he's going down the outside. Now you've got players in the box. He gets a great ball into the box and you get an opportunity. So I think having a left footer on the left and a right footer on the right against a low block is more effective for me.
Why do you think he then took him out after, though, and brought Rashford on?
Yeah, he did. I think he's probably tired, and he actually didn't have the best of games. But
he seemed like he was at his freest when he was put on that left-hand side.
100%.
And he seemed like he could cause Ghana as much danger. So I think Thomas Tuchel will have loads to think about from that game. And there was so much in-game tinkering. Like, we're not used to that as an England team. So many things changing. Sides coming into the positions. So there was a lot mentally going on for those England players there, and they got there eventually, didn't they? But it just was a little bit slow to get there.
But I think what I said before the game about Tuchel's team talk being simple and not overcomplicated, sometimes on the pitch as well, that's what you need to do. So we've seen, since Pep Guardiola's come be in the Premier League, we've seen lots of rotation and lots of players interchanging positions. But sometimes you're better saying to a player, stay in your position, make the pitch big, have wide players out wide. Get it out wide, get players in the box, get the ball in the box. Sometimes actually stay in your position.
I think especially when they were going to be so rigid, the Ghana team, they didn't care who they were up against, whether they were up against the left-back or the right-back had come over and was playing left wing. They were just going to play in their position. That's where England confused it a little bit.
I think Declan Rice, they're saying no need to panic, stay positive. England have got this. But that obviously was, as you said in commentary, you know, it was something of a wake-up call, of a sense of, you know, let's just take stock here and this is a long tournament.
It is a long tournament, and there's some very, very well-organised teams in this tournament. And at this level, you're not going to get everything your own way. You're not going to be able to go out and put in a sparkling performance in every game. You're going to be asked different questions. And England struggled to find the answers tonight against Ghana. I thought they were too slow. I thought they didn't offer enough, particularly in wide positions. We hit that first man too many times when we did try to cross the ball. And everything was just too passive, too safe. It was the easy option, rather than taking the gamble of that pass into midfield or the gamble to go past someone 1v1. Too many times we thought, no, we'll get the ball, we'll come back inside, we'll go to the right, and then it was just too slow, and England didn't do enough to win the game. But I have to say, you've got to give great credit to Ghana, because their organisation was absolutely superb, and how to defend, how to be organised, and how to make it really, really tough for the opposition, and they did all of those things.
Yeah, different tests, as you said, and Panama, again, will be a different kind of test for England, but one that they will expect to overcome.
Yeah, I think so. I think even we'd expect changes again. I think certainly down the left-hand side, England struggled. I think one of the reasons why he brought Jed Spence in was perhaps to counteract the power of them on the counter-attack with his pace. But in doing that, you then lose a little bit of quality going forward. And I thought once Nico O'Reilly came on, he sort of did more in going forward for England in the last 10 or 15 minutes than we did for large parts of that game. So I'm sure he'll make a couple of tweaks and changes at the weekend. But as I said, it's not a disaster. It's just something that they're going to have to work on.
Thank you very much, Alan. Joe, he said, didn't he, pre-tournament about these 15 players, and perhaps we thought there would be more rigidity and maybe 2 changes today was something of a surprise. There maybe will be more changes for Panama as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're understanding. They're prepared for this tournament to go all the way. Today was obviously difficult, but they've got all the answers. They've got everything they need, but that is why we see over here with the...
There's a counter-attack there, isn't it, Joe? I mean, when you're talking about it, and this is what I said before the game, Gabby, in terms of... I was just a little bit worried that we get too confident in situations there. That could have been a foul. Prince goes through, and it's a little bit too easy. I know we want to risk now because Tuchel's involved, but you see here then, they're trying to have the rotations here with Eze, Madueke and O'Reilly, but then it becomes very sloppy. If he loses the ball here, you've got to think, where is the danger? All the space in here, and now in an attacking position, you find yourself 4 and 4 at the back. And if England want to go forward in this position, they've got to sort this out. Yes, they're chasing the game. We know they're chasing the game. They're trying to score the goal, but you still need that protection behind you. And on another day, that could have been a penalty.
Yeah. We're going to have another look at it because Darren Cairns joined us in the studio. I think you were all a little bit surprised that there wasn't an on-pitch review of that decision, Darren.
Yes, I agree, Gabby. We had our hearts in our mouths when we saw Ezri Konsa make that challenge. First and foremost, as an England fan, I'm absolutely delighted that it wasn't given. But I have to be honest, for me, this should have been referred to the referee. Konsa makes no contact at all with the ball. He brings down his opponent. You can see it perfectly from this angle. He's airborne, he's out of control, he makes contact with the attacker and no contact with the ball. For me, this is a penalty kick. We've had 7 penalties in this World Cup so far. I'm very glad that wasn't an 8th.
Darren, is that getting overturned if he gives it?
I think that's the dilemma for the VAR, Joe. In this tournament, most of the time, they've gone with the on-field decision. We had one last night with the Argentina game where it was overturned, but the general thrust of the tournament is such that they'll stick with the on-field decision unless it's clearly wrong.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Well, there were certainly more chances as the game progressed and the game opened up a little bit for England, and the better of those chances came really in the last 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, well, I think introducing Saka onto the pitch, it always makes a difference, and everyone's been crying out for him to play more minutes. But you can see Ghana there in that low block and freed up and this is the quality. As soon as he come on the pitch, he's dynamic. You know what he's going to do, but it's very hard to stop it. And it's a good save from the goalkeeper. But this is what you need from your subs when they come on to try and make a difference. And there was an ascendancy at this point in the game, and then the chances came again. O'Reilly, who comes in these positions here, we've seen him so many times for Man City. Then Kane, if there's one person you want in that position, with his technique, his form, everything, confidence, you just think he's going to put it away. And then Gay, it's sort of the last one. It might have been going wide. It looks like on that angle it was off the line, but good defending from the defender there. But you just see there was really trying to take it to Ghana in the end, but it was just a bit too late.
But I said this at half-time, when a team sits in a low block, you have to cross the ball. Because the first one, the Saka chance comes from a Rashford cross, pick up the second ball, you get a shot. The next 2 chances there from crosses, it unorganises teams and it's very difficult to defend against. And I don't think we crossed the ball enough during the 90 minutes.
It's a slightly different tone. It's a different mood, as you can imagine, coming out of these interviews. 3 touches in the box and 19 touches in the whole game. It really wasn't Harry Kane's game today.
No, it's very difficult to play in that position against a low block. It is really difficult, and this is such a shock because you expect Harry Kane does not miss them chances. So when he misses a chance like this, it's such a surprise because you're just expecting the ball to hit the back of the net. But
what's he do wrong there, Wayne?
He just doesn't get his head over the ball. And listen, I'm not going to give Harry Kane advice. But look, he keeps his head back and he leans back a little bit, if you see, and his head, instead of getting his head over the ball and closing his body up, he just leans back a little bit, and that's why he goes over.
And a frustrated Thomas Tuchel there off the back of it. We saw a lot of that, didn't we, from Thomas Tuchel today, Joe?
Yeah, he is quite a frantic coach. He's quite emotional. He's very clean with what he's trying to give to his team. And he was frustrated. I think the Ghanaians were frustrating him just as much as his own teammates. But there's little bits and little messages but they've got to keep learning. It's a relatively new team, starting to find their way, and they've come up some real adversity today, having been on such a high recently. I think, like I say, it's one of those where they're going to have to learn so much from it as a squad and him as a manager.
I just think in these games it's more difficult than a game when you play against the better teams who are better going forward, because there is more space. These games, and I know I don't want to go back to it, but these games are the games where you need a Phil Foden or a Cole Palmer, because the little clever players in them tight areas, where we've got Declan Rice, who, through all Declan's qualities, getting in little tight areas and little link and play and stuff, that's where you probably need a Foden and Palmer.
Are they going to have this again, though, with Panama? Are they going to be frustrated in this same way, do you think?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to ask Wayne, in terms of, you know, as a defender, looking at it, you know, the structure, seeing everything in front of me, it's easy. But, you know, when you're in an attacking position and Panama are going to do the exact same, what did they need to do differently? You mentioned crosses, you mentioned potentially another striker, but I thought the weight of pass was off today as well. Is that fair assessment?
Yeah, 100%. And I think you need to, when you're playing inside, you need to change the tempo and get outside quick so you can get crossed in the box. Or when you're playing outside, then when you come inside, do it quick, the tempo of the pass. As you said, the pass of Reece James, especially, I thought there was a couple of times where he can lay it back and he can get a cross in, or just the pass. We'd seen it in training, and maybe that's why he's doing it. Maybe they were sloppy in training, but passing it to the right foot so you can take your touch forward rather than coming here. Then you have to turn, and then they're all back in the shape. So just that tempo. Alan mentioned it during the game. The tempo and the speed of the ball makes such a difference against that low block.
Yeah, and of course, teams are going to find different ways to frustrate England, especially those teams who are lower ranked, haven't got that kind of quality across the whole piece.
Yeah, well, we expected that. When, you know, I got asked about the game, I thought England would win. I thought they would score early and then the game would open up. But in terms of how Ghana approach the game, same with Panama, they're going to be in the low block. And that's why you mentioned there that the Cole Palmer, the Phil Foden, it wasn't, for me, that... I like everything that Tuchel's done. I think he's made big decisions at the right times, and I respect him for that. But my worry was the fact that when we go against teams in a low block, have we got someone to produce one of those moments of magic? And tonight, I feel as though, not that we don't want to talk about players, we're not there, but it was stark. It was obvious for everyone to see the fact that when we're not on transition, that Madueke is so good at, and the rest of the guys, when you're in them tight little pockets, can you produce something? And there wasn't that
so
tonight.
have we learned that England haven't got the personnel to break teams like this?
I think they're just growing. I feel like it's a confidence thing. I think we all know if Saka was fully fit, he would be starting, and he can do that as well as running behind as well. But I just feel like, in terms of risk today, there was not enough risk for an England team that won so well against Croatia.
I think it's important to point out that other teams have struggled in this tournament.
Correct.
Other favourites have had these moments. Spain have had this moment, Portugal. You go through it, and no one goes through the World Cup winning it in recent history of having a clean slate. You know, there's going to be tough games, and that was tough today. There's no getting away from it. But like we say, like we're all talking about here, they've got to learn from it. They've got to understand their positions. And Thomas Tuchel is going to take a lot of responsibility for the performance. Of course he is. He's the man who stands up and picks the team. But they've just got to stay on the same page and not get too carried away.
Frustrated, I think, Joe.
Yeah, of course. And, you know, Jordan's been there. You know, he's a really experienced tournament goalkeeper now. Been brilliant for England. And he's seen many of these performances before they've gone on to do special things in a tournament. But that goal was key. We all know that we'd be having a totally different conversation if England could have unlocked them in the first half. But they didn't. Like I say, they've just got to learn from it and look to move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, listen, I think it's these games are so difficult to play in. I was talking to Joe off air, and remember we played Andorra away with England, and everyone's expecting to win 4-5-0, but they're so difficult to break teams down. I personally would have liked to see 2 centre-forwards on there. But, yeah, listen, it's a point. We're through to the next round. And then we've got Panama in the next game. I expect them to make changes and let someone else go and try and get themselves in that team for the knockout round.
It was just expectation, though, wasn't it? Yeah. You know, after Croatia, in the second half, they looked really special, they looked energised, they looked hungry, and they had the quality. Today, it looked like they had a lack of quality, which was strange, you know? I think if you're looking at Spain, France after their win, Mbappe in the form of his life, Messi doing what he's doing, we expected Kane to turn up tonight. Unfortunately, it wasn't his night, but he can put it right.
Even Ronaldo turned up.
Ronaldo, yeah.
And is that thinking, what is the rest of the world looking at, you know, kind of in this England, the first England that we saw against Croatia, the rest of the world's thinking this is a team that can go all the way. It's a long tournament. Are we still thinking England can go all the way, Wayne?
100%. I think England win it. So I think this performance is... It's a performance which I'm happy it's happened now. Yeah. But I certainly think these games, honestly, are so much tougher than if you play a Portugal, if you play a Spain, if you play a France. Then your concentration needs to be there. Your concentration in terms of defensively needs to be there. And I think that suits England. This team is built to play on counter-attack, in my opinion.
I just think it's not necessarily going to put fear into the likes of France and Spain and Portugal, the ones we're talking about, because they're going to have the reference of the Croatia game, because they're going to be coming at England. But the round of 32, the team, if England do finish top of their group, they potentially come up against a third-place opposition. Maybe the round of 16 against someone who's scraped through the group. They're the ones who are going to get inspiration from tonight.
I thought we might be having a conversation about who Thomas Tuchel could rest against Panama and where he might make changes. What would you like to see in that game?
Just higher energy, more risk. Someone like Rashford starting, I feel, as Watkins as well. Give Kane a little bit of a rest, or maybe bring him on. Just that high energy. We bought into it with Croatia. Even though there was a low block, you can still have the high energy. I think it was just a little bit too slow today.
It's the tempo. I think to bring that energy we had against Croatia second half is really difficult when the team is sat there in a low block. It's the tempo and the speed of the ball. That's what it had to improve from tonight. Because you can't have players run all over the place because there's no space.
England missed the chance to secure an early place in the knockout stages of the 2026 FIFA World Cup after being held to a frustrating 0-0 draw by Ghana in their second Group L match in Boston. Despite dominating possession for long periods, Thomas Tuchel's side could not find a way through a disciplined and determined Ghanaian defence. The Three Lions entered the match full of confidence following their thrilling 4-2 victory over Croatia in the tournament opener. However, Ghana arrived with a clear game plan and executed it superbly, limiting England's attacking stars to very few clear-cut opportunities. England controlled nearly all of the first-half possession, but the match lacked quality in the final third. In a remarkable statistic, neither side managed a shot on target before the break as Ghana's organised back line frustrated Harry Kane, Jude, Bellingham and company. Tuchel responded by introducing fresh attacking options in the second half, including Bukayo Saka and Marcus Rashford, and England's intensity increased noticeably. Yet Ghana remained compact and dangerous on the counterattack, with their defenders producing several crucial interventions. The best chance of the match arrived in the 86th minute when Nico O'Reilly struck the crossbar. The rebound fell kindly for Harry Kane, but the England captain could not convert from close range, leaving fans stunned. England continued to push in stoppage time, but Ghana held firm to earn a valuable point. The result leaves England top of Group L with 4 points from 2 matches, while Ghana strengthened their hopes of progressing to the round of 32. Qualification from the group will now be decided on the final match day, with England facing Panama and Ghana taking on Croatia. For England, it was a reminder that World Cup football is rarely straightforward. For Ghana, it was a performance full of discipline, courage and belief. The Black Stars successfully silenced one of the tournament favourites and kept their dream of a deep World Cup run very much alive.